As a parent, you've probably had that moment, right? Wondering if your child's fear of the dark, or maybe their shyness around new people, is just a normal part of growing up, or if it's something more. In this explainer, we're going to give you some tools to help answer that very question and navigate the often confusing world of childhood worries.
So let's just dive right into the question that's probably on your mind. All kids have fears, that's a given. But when does that normal, everyday worry cross a line into something bigger? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out together. First off, and this is so important to get, fear is a completely normal, healthy part of growing up. Honestly, think of it like a built-in alarm system that's designed to protect them. It's the little voice that says, hey, maybe don't touch that hot stove. So it's not just normal, it's actually a necessary part of their development.
What's really interesting is how a child's fears literally evolve right alongside them. I mean, for a toddler, a new face can be the scariest thing in the world. But for a 10-year-old, it's more likely to be a big test at school or making the sports team. These shifts are totally normal, and they show us that as their world gets bigger, their worries naturally change to match it.
Okay, so we've established that fear is normal, but then there's this other word we hear all the time, anxiety. People tend to use them interchangeably, but, and this is key, they are not the same thing. Understanding the difference is your first big step in knowing how to help your child. All right, let's put these two emotional states side by side, because once you get clear on this distinction, it really empowers you to respond in the most helpful way. Here it is, the core difference. Fear is about the right now. It's a reaction to a clear and present danger, like a big dog barking right in front of you. It's intense, for sure, but once the dog is gone, the fear starts to fade. Anxiety, on the other hand, lives in the future. It's all about the what if. It's that nagging feeling. What if there's another dog on our walk tomorrow? See, that feeling lingers long after the threat is gone. I absolutely love this analogy because it just makes it so crystal clear. Fear is the fire alarm going off when you burn the toast. It's a real, immediate, and pretty useful response, right? But anxiety, that's the alarm going off every single time you even walk into the kitchen. It stops being a helpful warning and just becomes this constant disruptive noise in your life. So, when does that overactive fire alarm, that what-if thinking, cross the line from just being a worry into a potential anxiety disorder? Well, it turns out there are some very clear markers that professionals look for. Clinicians often use a really simple framework to figure this out, and you can too. Just think of the 3 Ds. First is duration. Has this worry been hanging around for a long time, like 6 months or more? Second, disproportion. Is the reaction just huge, way bigger than the actual situation seems to call for? And third, and this is probably the most important one, disruption. Is this anxiety getting in the way of life? Is it messing with school, friendships, or even just family dinner? So, this is really the bottom line. It's not about whether a child has fears. All kids do. The real question is about how long it lasts, how big it feels to them, and crucially, how much it's stopping them from just being a kid. That's impairment. And this is what disruption actually looks like in the real world. It's not some abstract idea. It's missing school. It's a kid who used to love birthday parties suddenly refusing to go. It's trouble at bedtime every single night. You can start to see it. The anxiety is making their world smaller and smaller.
Okay, so now that we have that 3D framework, what are some of the actual concrete red flags you can look for at home that might signal it's time to pay a bit closer attention? Be on the lookout for fears that just don't seem to match their age, like, say, a 12-year-old who is still intensely afraid of monsters under the bed. Notice if the worry isn't getting better with time, but is actually getting worse or even spreading to new things. And here's a huge one, avoidance. When your child starts changing their entire routine just to stay away from the thing that scares them, that's a major red flag. And please remember this because it is so important. Especially for younger kids who don't have the words to say, I feel anxious, it often shows up in their bodies first. So if you're hearing, my tummy hurts every single morning before school, or dealing with headaches that seem to come out of nowhere, that could very well be anxiety talking. Okay, so if you're nodding along and seeing some of these signs from the 3Ds, from the red flags, what's the next step? This is the point where a lot of parents feel a little bit stuck.
This is the big question, isn't it? Do we just keep an eye on things, or is it time to reach out for professional help? The good news is there's a pretty clear way to think about this decision. It's not usually about one single symptom. It's about looking at the whole pattern. This table really helps lay it all out. You're in the monitor column if the fear is pretty age-appropriate, and you're able to soothe your child through it. But you start to look at the seek help column if that fear is persistent, if it's way out of proportion, and if it's causing real disruption at school or with friends. If you find yourself checking off more boxes on that right side, that's your cue. That's the signal that it's probably time to get some support.
Now I get it. Taking that step to actually schedule an appointment can feel really daunting, both for you and for your child. So let's just pull back the curtain and demystify what that first visit actually looks like. It's usually a lot less intimidating than you think.
A good first appointment is really just a structured conversation. It's not a scary test. A professional will chat with you and with your child, sometimes together, sometimes separately. They might use some standard questionnaires and ask about your family history. The whole point, the only goal, is to gather information to get a complete picture so they can figure out the absolute best way to help your child feel better. And that really brings us to our final thought. Just by watching this, by wanting to understand more, you've already taken a huge step. Because empowering ourselves with this kind of knowledge so we can see our children clearly and know when and how to act, that's the first and most powerful tool we have to support them on their journey from worry to well-being.